One of the more interesting things about personal style is how it develops over time. From hypebeast archetypes to more detail-oriented acquisitions, we all are constantly refining and retooling our style. And to me, this is what makes fashion really fun. The ability to absorb references from other people and to mix in your own creativity to express yourself in a unique way is incredible. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my current style influences in hopes to stir up a conversation to talk about your style influences and to just talk fashion. It's just what this channel is about. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Drew What It Do, and if you're a regular of this channel, welcome back. Salute to you, ma'am or sir. And PVV gang, shout out to you guys. Alright, so let's get into my influences. I originally made this video very early on in my channel, probably when I had less than 100 subscribers, definitely less than 1,000 subscribers, and I talked mainly about JOUND and ALD. Fast forward to now, and oh, have my taste buds in fashion changed. I would say for myself, there are 6 brands that have my utmost attention, and there are 5 categories within fashion's many categories that, for a lack of better words, have me in a chokehold. So when creating this video, I typically have a script that I outline, and when I was writing the script for these categories, there are 5 that stood out, like I said. The first one being Japanese Americana, we have vintage, we have boots, we have Gorpcore, and we have sustainability within fashion. So my love for Japanese Americana actually starts with a small shop in my home state, Colorado, called Canoe Club in Boulder. Last year was honestly the first time I knew that shop existed, and Timothy Grindle, his staff, and the entire storefront there really had me enamored with this Japanese Americana menswear style. It infatuated me so much so that I've never told you guys this before, but I almost started working at Canoe Club back in 2021, I think it was. But that is a story for another day. Actually being able to go into Canoe Club and to see the Orslos, to see the Capitals, to see the Beams Pluses of the world, to touch the clothing and to feel it and to really feel that energy for it changed my perspective entirely. And it was in my home state. That feels really, really good to have people who know the Colorado experience, are doing fashion, and obviously have a love for the Japanese Americana genre. If you want me to go more in depth with Japanese Americana, comment that down below. I'd love to make a video about that. But as a broad definition of Japanese Americana, it's essentially a recontextualization of American or Americana styled clothing, recontextualized through a Japanese lens and through Japanese designers. It's a really, really fantastic genre that just has a lot of high quality pieces, very unique pieces, and pieces that also feel familiar to me as someone who grew up in America. It's super fascinating, but I'll hold myself back for this video because I have a lot more to talk about. Let's move on to the next genre, category, whatever you want to call it, which is everyone loves this category. If you don't love this category, I don't know what's, like, if you don't love this next category, I don't know. I just don't know. And that next category is vintage clothing or secondhand clothing, or yeah, those two work. I think in the last few years, the value associated with buying secondhand, buying vintage, and buying things like that has just exploded. And when you sit back and think about how much clothing is in circulation, you kind of scratch your head at the fact that we still produce so much clothing year in and year out. And buying secondhand helps alleviate that production. I think buying secondhand offers 3 things which are really, really valuable things when it comes to styling and just getting into fashion. First and foremost, you get unique pieces. That's what I love about buying vintage or secondhand. If I go into a local thrift or vintage store here in Colorado, there's going to be area specific pieces for the western region, for Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, Texas, Oklahoma. Now, if you go to New York, it's going to be much more East Coast vibe clothing in there. There's going to be more things maybe from Ivy Leagues or from different vantage points in the East Coast. And I love that uniqueness that you get when you buy secondhand. Like I just mentioned, it's definitely a more sustainable approach. So you're not buying into this kind of crazy consumeristic production heavy cycle that fashion seems to be in love with right now. And last, depending on the piece that you buy or depending on where you buy it at, buying secondhand, even if it's not necessarily at a physical location, whether it's on eBay or Grailed or whatever it may be, that's, if you find a vintage piece there, it's still buying into that kind of genre. The price points sometimes can be extremely amenable, which is awesome. Like, no one wants to spend $1,000 on every single item of clothing that they buy. I don't. If you want to spend $1,000 on every single item that you buy, that's your prerogative. But for me, and I know for a lot of people, money is you gotta take care of your dollars. Moving on to the next. Was that corny? Was that corny? Moving on to the next subject. I want to talk about Gorpcore. And you can't not talk about Gorpcore as someone who lives in 2022. You have to talk about it. I think Gorpcore is responsible for initiating all these fashion cores, to be honest. I mean, it's just my opinion. Before, I never heard of like business core, Gorpcore, street core, whatever. It was like streetwear. It was avant-garde. It was something else. Anyways, you get my point. What I'm trying to say is that obviously Gorpcore has had a huge influence on current fashion, and I'd be remiss not to mention that, yeah, Gorpcore has influenced me. It's fire. I think a lot of the things that a lot of people who are styling Gorpcore, what they do is absolutely beautiful. It's beautifully done. I think the Arc'teryx stuff is a little bit overdone sometimes, but I think even if you peel back that onion of Gorpcore a little bit more, you see that there are a lot of really fantastic things being done, whether it be with, the jackets or the pants, whether it be with shoes and accessories. Like I saw these Crocs. I saw these Crocs and I was like, why are these so fire? Like, why are these so gorpy? And using the word gorpy might be really cringe for a lot of people, but these Crocs are fire, and yeah, Gorpcore is too. Speaking of footwear, I think for me the next kind of iteration of my style evolution as it relates to footwear has to be in the category of boots. Now, I've been a sneaker guy pretty much since my early high school days when I started playing basketball. I started wearing basketball shoes, started getting into sneakers, and started realizing, hey, it feels kind of good to have a little bit of heat or a little bit of spice to your footwear game. So that's kind of where it comes from for me. Fast forward to now, and I keep saying fast forward, but fast forward to now, and man, college came and gone. I'm a little bit older, but my job is social media, and my job is talking to you guys, which is awesome, and I feel very thankful for that. And for whatever reason, it just feels like a natural progression for me to close off all of the footwear options that boots have would be foolish of me. And the fact that I'm trying out different boots, whether it be the Suicoke Bauer boots or the Aura Infantry boots, and the fact that I've had such just great times wearing those boots and how durable they feel and just how awesome they are, I'm loving this boot life. And the thing about boots is that there are so many underrated boots out there. Streetwear and sneakers tend to dominate the conversation when it comes to footwear, and as a result, a lot of boots get underrated or become underrated as a result, and I just love that. There's something great about having items in your closet that maybe are overlooked but you appreciate, and you can appreciate the craftsmanship or the storytelling or the imagery. Like, there's so many brands doing so many fantastic things, and I love that aspect about boots, is that they don't always get the shine, and they aren't necessarily in that limelight a lot of times like the most popular Nikes or whatever it may be. Did I get through all 5? Yeah, I think I did. Japanese Americana, vintage, Gorpcore, boots. Oh no, we need to talk about sustainability for a second. That's what we need to do. So I think sustainability in fashion is always going to be something at the forefront of my buying decision, or at least in the thought process, right? Like, there are some things that sometimes you can't avoid certain situations. I think a lot of people understand the importance of sustainable fashion, understand that we are living in a time that calls for more conscious consumerism. And while I'm not fashion's sustainable Superman, it is always at the forefront of my mind, like I said. And as a result, I think that a lot of people, and including myself, they just think about it when it comes to buying different things, like whether it be supporting brands like United by Blue instead of maybe supporting other brands that are bigger and more lucrative for myself as someone who creates content, or whether it be creating products like, that have recycled materials like this Edward Joyner cap, or just other elements that just have sustainable aspects in them. I'm always going to be more drawn to those things than I'm going to be drawn to some of these other things that are out there in the world. But what do you think? What are some of your kind of broad categories that you're interested in? Are you into Gorpcore right now? Maybe you're into cardigans. Maybe you're into getting ready for springtime and getting ready to wear shorts. Like, talk to me about the things that you guys like, because I love the conversation. I don't care if this video gets 1,000 views. I want the conversation, man. I want the convos. So let's talk about the 6 brands that have my utmost attention right now. Before, when I made this video, like I said, I was really preoccupied with this kind of high school, college version of myself that was really in love with brands like Supreme Supreme, which manifested in itself to being into brands like Aimé Leon Dore and Palace and Jound. And while I still have love for those brands, like, don't get it twisted, I still support those brands. Like, they still have some fire stuff coming out of their camps. It's just a different version of Drew now. Right now, the 6 brands that I have that are the most interesting to me include Story MFG, Suicoke, Homie Brands, Cold Wall, Wood, Common Sweden. Starting with Story MFG, I had the chance to actually talk to the founders of Story MFG on my podcast. This is a shameless plug, Beyond the Garment podcast. Check it out. Katie and Saeed, they are the founders respectively of Story MFG. And in talking to them and always kind of being this fan of Story MFG, maybe they were in my top 10, but not in like the top 6 or whatever you want to call it. But after having a chance to talk with them and just kind of hearing their perspective about how they created success with Story MFG and what goes into the manufacturing process, the sustainable aspects of Story MFG, and all those things, their integrity to production and all those things that they have. And they just have this really cohesive and structured visual look to their brand that I think almost belongs in its own like Star Wars planet. Like if there was a Star Wars spinoff and there was Story MFG world, like it would be fantastic. It would fit right in because that's the kind of pieces they make. It's kind of like this elevated Bodhi Japanese hippie, but super dope style. I don't even know how to, those are words, and hopefully they describe it in some way, but I love Story MFG, and I got mad respect for Saeed and Katie for actually coming onto the podcast and talking to someone like me. Like, that's crazy. Yo, crazy enough, I actually forgot to record the section for Suicoke, and I want to talk super candidly about Suicoke here for a minute because it is one of my favorite brands right now, and there's a couple reasons why. I think the first reason has to do with the fact that I'm just getting more into just Japanese culture. Obviously, for a lot of Americans, it starts with anime and things like that. But for whatever reason, like Japan, America, Japanese Americana, fashion, those kind of things, all these things kind of go hand in hand. It's really interesting to me. Suicoke's footwear lineup is something that's super interesting to me. I was big on New Balance, but I feel like as New Balance becomes this brand that has a lot of oversaturation, I love my 990s and 992s still. But while I don't really see myself wearing any other kind of type of silhouettes from New Balance, I think the next progression for me in my wardrobe is Suicoke. I'm absolutely loving the Suicoke Bower boots and my Suicoke Pepper Evabs. They're both closed-toe Suicoke models. I can't wait for the springtime to dip my toes into an open-toe model, whether it be Moto Cab or whatever it may be. I'm really excited to experience what Suicoke has to offer for spring and summer, and it's going to be a lot of fun just kind of playing around, dabbling into this style of footwear. Now, I said I was going to talk about homie brands, and if you know me, if you're accustomed to the channel, then you know I love talking about homie brands. And homie brands are basically just small business owners that are trying to make it, man. I'm a small business owner trying to make it essentially, right? Like, that's what I do. I got this one-off fleece on. I got the Edward Joyner trucker hat on. I got from Marco shorts on. These are the brands that I find myself just kind of gravitating towards when, I just need to wear something around or when I'm out. They're really for any situation. But the reason why I love supporting them is because, like I said, they're small business owners. And I think that something that is really, really underappreciated for a lot of young people is that, when you're young, you're always chasing what's really popular, what's hype, what's cool, and you want to associate yourself with that so you feel a certain way about yourself. But for me, as I've gotten older, I've realized that, man, the ability to impact the lives of these small business owners, that feeling far outweighs the feeling of clout, coolness, and sublimeness with wearing like Supreme or Bape or Nike or Dunks or whatever it may be. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, want to buy those things. If you want to buy those things, I love you for that. Buy the things that you want to buy. For me, I'm saying, though, I love being able to support these small business owners who are trying to make it teams of 1 to 5, whether it be One-Off, Ouray, United by Blue, whether it be, like I said, for Marco, which I don't even know if they're a brand anymore, which is unfortunate, or whether it be like Cromwell Valley or Fugazi. It's just unbelievable what a lot of these small teams are able to accomplish. And you never know, 10 years from now, these small brands might become the big brands, and you never know if Fugazi is becomes Supreme, or if Ouray becomes the next Aimé Leon Dore. Like, you just never know, and it's kind of cool to see that progression. Now, another brand that kind of is slotted into that Gorpcore kind of style is a cold wall, or ACW. And I think for me, a lot of times my introduction into brands that are a little bit larger, because a cold wall is a little bit larger than the homie brands, is with footwear collaborations. And when I first saw the cold wall Doc Martens, I think they were 1460s, kind of like these Stormtrooper boots, I fell in love with them. And they have a new colorway coming out, actually. I'm very excited. And when I found out about those shoes, I kind of did more digging, realized, man, the cold wall's got some really, really nice stuff, and I've yet to purchase anything from them. And that's, you know, I think that some people might be like, well, how can you be a fan of something if you haven't purchased yet? Like, you don't know how it is. I would say for right now, visually, I'm really impressed. I'm very much so intrigued, and I want to kind of, you know, dabble in the brand. Some of the price points are a little bit high, so sometimes I'm a little bit worrisome if I get the wrong size. Cold Wall is a brand that I'm very excited for 2022 and the future. All right, so the final two brands that I've kind of been obsessively learning about over the last 3 to 4 months have to be Woodwood and Common Sweden, both European brands. And I think Cold Wall is European as well, but Woodwood and Common Sweden, both European brands that are embodiment of simplicity, tailoring, and really unique and underrated pieces. Common Sweden specializes and does a great job with their uppers, their textiles, their fabrics, their design work is really, really cool. I love what they do. Woodwood keeps it very, very simple, and I love their uppers as well, their jackets, their pants, and their simplicity in the clothing. It just draws me to it. Hopefully, I'm hoping that I can work with these brands because I really am interested about them, and I want to bring just a different kind of perspective to the YouTube space with brands that, you know, aren't very much so talked about. And I think that these two brands, as well as the Cold Wall and all the other brands I mentioned, really, really exciting to me. And I've had just a great time talking with you guys, man. I feel like I was just talking to some homies or some people, you know, some peeps, whatever it may be, just talking about fashion. And I appreciate you guys. If you stayed into this point in this video, comment down below anything that came to your mind. Oh yeah, I like this brand. Oh no, I actually enjoy talking about these things, or this is the genre of fashion I like. I want the conversation to be abundant in the comment section. Like the video if you enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys always liking the videos. It means a ton to me. And as always, I'm spreading peace, love, and positivity in 2022. So that means I'm spreading peace, love, and positivity to you. Wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Abianto. Peace. Yo, what is good post vid? The energy right now, like I feel like just clairvoyant right now. Like I'm feeling fantastic. Here's a fist bump for one time. Bop. Bop. I had to slow him down a little bit so y'all can catch up to the fist bump. Or I appreciate you guys so much for always being a fantastic group of individuals who watch all the way to the end. It means so much to me. To cry, man. I think an extra brand that I'm gonna start getting back into, to be honest with you guys, PVV, is a brand called Palace. Palace Skateboards. It's a pretty big brand. It kind of became popularized, in my opinion, during that like very Supreme era. Supreme was really bubbling up, and I think the counterpart to Supreme, to a much lesser degree, but to still a degree of importance, was Palace. PVV, I need your help, guys. Your boy is being blessed with an incredible opportunity to go to another country, and that country is Amsterdam, and I will be there for the next month or so. I'll let you guys know when that happens, but I'm going to go there for about a month or so, and I need store recommendations. I need activity ideas. I need date ideas. I need food recommendations. All those things I really need. And this is the first PSA, public service announcement, that I will be going to Amsterdam, and I want to let the PVV know first, man. I'm very excited to go out there and experience a whole different culture and just enjoy being in another country. It's been a few years since I've been able to do something like that, and when the opportunity arose and there's a lot of things happening in the background that I'm very excited about, I wanted to strike. So let me know, what are your recommendations for Amsterdam? If you've ever been there, if you have recommendations, comment those down in the comment section. Love y'all, man. That probably was a little bit corny right there. I don't know why I just did that. I got love for y'all, man. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Peace.